Thought I'd explain a little bit about the controls and what I've done to change this thing this year. I think I've got the car about everything, all the controls where I'm going to leave them finally. They've been changed the last 3 years. I've also changed from a manual pump to a computer controlled pump, went back to the computer. Simply it gets rid of the rolling coal, which I didn't like. The manual pump and the governor would say give it more power, it would just blow rolling coal, something fierce. So went back to computer, which helped greatly there. I'm using a cruise control on the manual or on the electric pump, on the computer controlled pump for my governor, which I can set the cruise. My accelerator is the same one that was in the car, is right here. So I can get the RPM I want on the tack, set the cruise, and then the cruise holds it there. It's kind of annoying right now because it's too sensitive and I'm getting a lot of surging, so it's doing the vroom, vroom, vroom at times, which is fixable, and I've got the software program being done right now to fix that, to make it less sensitive. So, and that's been my biggest issue. It's kind of annoying, but that should be fixed here, actually done over the weekend. So hopefully in another week or two I get that mailed to me. I can fix that. To make the car go forward, I've got a hand lever and a foot lever. I can run each motor, each hydrostat with this lever. I can run forward and reverse. I can reverse the front and forward to rear, or vice versa. I've got a foot lever that runs them both, which is my main motive drive. I can also reverse them with my other foot, so I can go forward and reverse, or I can use my hand and steer. This is steering switches here for the rear steer, steering switches here for the rear steer. So basically everything. And then the brake is just another pedal right beside the, you said I rarely use it because of the hydrostat, but it's there if I need it. So that pretty well takes care of the controls inside. Oh, also running pressure gauges here. I can run 0 to 5,000 PSI on the hydrostat. I can fine tune them if going down the highway. So they're both pulling the same pressure. I also I've got a check valve on each side, which I can disengage, which will let it roll forward, but I can't back up, but it'll let me roll forward. So if I let off the hydrostat at high speed, it doesn't throw me through the windshield. It just lets it coast. When I get in the rocks, I just close off the check valve so it can't recirculate. That works really great on the highway. It makes it drive pretty much like a car. The hydrostat is basically out of a large skid steer. It's got a double pump. One pump runs a motor on the front, which runs a rear end, and a motor on the back, which runs the rear end. Another rear end are Ford 9-inch pumpkins. 2-to-1 reduction in the portals, and they're a Jesse Haynes. I got them from him for the portals. So that's the drive system. It's a bent axis variable speed motor, which was supposed to be able to be computer controlled, but I never could get that to work. So I went to a manual right here, and this controls the variable speed motors. So when they're all the way slowed down in low range, I can go from 0 to approximately 7-8 miles an hour. In high range, I can go from 0 to 60 mile an hour. In the low range part, I can pull most hills without having to go to low range. They're really steep, so it works out fantastic. I can run in that 10 to 12 mile an hour with the variable speed slowed down. Maintain power to climb 35-degree slopes, which works really well. And then on flatter ground, I can increase the speed of the motors and get up to 60 mile an hour. I'll go on to some of the basic. The braking system is, I have in the master cylinder a front and rear. So to set the front, I can do that, or set the rear and the front. So kind of a redundant thing. If I lose brakes or one end of them get a leak, tear a hose off, I can just go to the front or rear. That is kind of a moot point with the hydrostat. As long as the hydrostat's working, really rarely need the brakes, because the hydrostat itself works as a brake. I'm going to explain the hand switches on my right hand, what all it does. Top two buttons, that's rear steer, right and left. This here is variable speed for the variable speed motors. These top two buttons raise and lower the front. The bottom two buttons raise and lower the rear. Each button does each corner. And the center two, that one makes the front longer, shorter, and that makes the rear longer and shorter. So it looks like a lot, but it's really pretty straightforward. I have another two buttons up here that's rear steer. So when I'm backing up using the hand, I can rear steer without being here. So they do the same thing. That's the buttons.